morning, everyone, and welcome to this conversation on customer experience in Malaysia, a disruptor's perspective. I'm Manoj Menon, MD and founder of Twimbit, and on behalf of everyone here today, really thrilled to welcome you for these conversations on customer experience. So essentially, Twimbit embarked on a study almost about 4 months ago, and the goal of the study was to understand who are the absolute top 10 companies which, when it comes to acing customer experience in Malaysia, and what are the benchmarks they are setting up, what can we learn from them. That study obviously brought together some of the best brands that Malaysians have grown up with. And interestingly, in that study also, two very exciting young startup companies also made it to that list. And that is why today's conversation, the disruptor's perspective. And I'm super thrilled to have two very distinguished guests here who are representing two outstanding companies who are leading the way to set up completely new benchmarks for how customer experience is delivered in Malaysia. So first up, I would like to introduce Cho Takman, who's the head with Udo. Good morning and welcome. Thank you for joining us.
Hi, good morning, Manoj. Thanks for the invitation.
Excellent. Thank you. Great to have you here on this conversation. And then I would like to invite Rennie Chin, who is a co-founder with My Burger Lab. Rennie is creating experiences in one of Malaysia's favorite pastimes, which is food. So good morning, Rennie.
Good morning, Manoj. Good morning, Takman as well. Thanks for having me here.
Excellent. Yeah. So really thrilled to have both of you. Both of you are representing young companies, companies who are maybe potentially built on the entire premise of saying, how do I deliver extraordinary experiences? Maybe first I will start with you. Before I start with them, I encourage all the attendees, feel free to type in the chat. When you type, you got to type, change it to panelists and attendees. If you type as we go along, we will know whether you agree, disagree, any comments that you like, and we'll try and see how to respond or integrate what you type in the chat into our conversations. Yeah. So maybe first up, I would like to start with Takman. So tell us about the premise of Udo. Why was Udo set up? You have a parent company, Celcom, and yet you set up this new subsidiary. And what is the premise of what is the disruptive impact that based on which Udo was set up as a company?
Sure. Happy to explain about Udo. Yeah, and you're right. It's a pretty new brand. We're part of Celcom. It's now 3 years old. It started in the sense that Celcom wanted to try to set up a digital telco, right? Something that can run differently, that can be quite different from the other telcos in the market, and to give us a little bit of freedom and independence to try it out. But let me talk about what Udo does, right? We term ourselves a digital telco because everything is digital. Right, from the point you do registration, from the point you we take down your details, from the point you register your line to get your line, everything is done on the app, right? So that's already something different, right? You don't need to go to a retail outlet to get your SIM card. We send the SIM card to you. So that's why we call ourselves a digital telco. At the same time, one of the value proposition that we have is that we are fully customizable. What does that mean? Basically, the customer can choose the amount of data they want, the amount of voice they want, the amount of SMS they want. It's really up to them, right? And it's up to the customer. This month you can choose 10 gigabytes of data, right? Next month, if you decide to choose more, you can choose the 15 gigabytes. If you choose 15 gigabytes and you realize that you still need more for that month, you can also top it up. And everything is done on the app. So I think this is pretty unique, right? I don't really see any other telco doing this. basically, like I said, the value proposition is being able to customize it, right? And we pride ourselves of having more than 2 million combinations, right? So basically, there's a plan for everyone, right? So again, you can choose whatever you want. You can, if you also want to just have a YouTube add-on, a Netflix data package, you can just top it up, right? So it's pretty unique.
So how does it translate into your CX strategy? So means, how do you take this premise of millions of, let's say 2 million options that are there, and how does that translate into your delivery of your CX strategy?
Okay. Well, we look at customer experience in a couple of lines, in a sense, right? Maybe I'll summarize it. Maybe we'll talk about four lines that we look at. I'll answer your question in one of those lines, right? So the four items that we look at, one is to minimize the customer effort, right? Providing seamless process. The second one, which will answer your question directly, will be the driving with personalization, and basically segment of one. Third item that we look at is managing and exceeding customer expectations, and the fourth one is basically engaging our customers at their preferences. So let me just talk. Give me some time to just talk a bit about each of the item, right? So when we talk about customer experience in Udo, right? When we talk about minimizing the first one, which is minimizing customer effort, I think it's everything is done on the app. So it means that a customer doesn't have to go to an outlet, a retail outlet, to get their SIM card. Everything is done, right? From sign up to registration, choosing your number, inputting your details, making payments, basically managing your account, right? So that's pretty seamless for the customer. And nowadays, right, it's a digital customer, right? So that's why it helps the customer where everything's done on the app, right? So, and of course, registration process itself, we are using the technology of the phone, right? So we capture your face, we take a selfie of you, we scan your ID using the phone, right? And we match it, right? Just to make sure that we have your details to get a registration of the proper line. Now, the other part, that's the second item, which is important to us, which we are proud of, is the personalization, right? The 2 million combinations. What it means is that nowadays, right, we feel that the modern consumer is one that personalizes experiences. They want personalized experience, right? And they probably have very strong opinions of what they want, right? So it's not easy for any company to be able to meet that expectation, right? Because everyone is different. Everyone has their own preferences. So from our perspective, by giving the opportunity for the customer to choose their own plan, right, or choose their combination, we are giving this personalization part back to the customer. So I think that's something unique about Udo, and our hashtag is basically you do it better, right? So because we believe that the customer does it better. I'll just maybe end up with like I said, the third and fourth item was that the third item was about managing customer expectations, right, and exceeding it. So for example, because everything's on the app, you can get your line on the app, but like I said just now, the physical SIM card will probably still have to be delivered to you. But phones nowadays, right, especially the higher end ones, right, the iPhones and the Samsungs, right, they have eSIM capabilities. And we have also taken advantage of that. And that means you can actually register your line within 2 minutes. From the point you decide that you want a Udo line, or you want to, right, then to the point of getting the line itself, it could be less than 2 minutes. So this is what we're doing. We hopefully that this exceeds customer expectations, right? Yeah.
Excellent.
Yeah. And the final one is about engaging customers at their preferences, right? So consumers nowadays, they like esports, K-pop, music entertainment, active sports, right? So we are involved in all these kind of things. Yeah.
Excellent. So, from the, you're a unique company in the sense that the parent company, Celcom, realized that we need to create a completely new experience, and therefore it makes sense to create a new sub-brand, right?
Yeah.
How has that journey been? And would you, let's say, there are many other companies who are constantly facing a similar challenge. Should they be doing this? So let's say, is this, who is this for? I'm sure you went through tremendous pain as this journey, you embarked on this journey, and you set about this journey. There must be tremendous opposition from certain camps within the company. So how is this something others should follow? Is it something that you think, and when should they do something like this? What is the real premise? Is you do strategy when you go after a completely new segment that you were not able to address before?
Yeah, well, you basically said, well, one of the premises is what you said, right? Which is going after a segment that, may not be targeted before, or have targeted but may not have the necessary tools to target, right? Again, we go back to the point where our target segment is basically the Gen Ys and Gen Zs, right? Or we call them the digital natives, right? Nowadays, also the digital natives are a bit of the younger ones. The Gen X, the younger Gen X are also now digital natives after COVID, right? So this is a segment which requires maybe a slightly different approach, and by having Udo, right, and the part about being able to give the customers what they want to choose, right? They can choose on their own. That is something which will be, which helps, I think, in the acquisition process.
Yeah. Last question before I move on to Rennie. So, where in this journey is Udo today? Would you say that you have achieved your goals? Are you making tremendous progress in achieving the goals of addressing the vision with which you have set about? Where do you think this can go to eventually?
Well, it's still some journey to go, but I think we've done pretty well so far. I mean, it's not many. I think if you research worldwide in terms of digital telcos, right? Not many digital telcos even survived the first year, right? And I think we've survived now. We are 3 years old and we are still growing. And I think the part about being, whether it's successful or not, is also dependent, right, on whose view. But one view that we have is that we have already been able to differentiate ourselves, right? Especially in some of the lifestyle segments like esports, right? So that part, right? If you are in Malaysia, and if you talk about esports, especially mobile related esports, I think most gamers would know about Udo. Right, so I think that's already quite an achievement, in terms of a brand, a young brand like us. Yeah.
Excellent. And what is the name Udo?
Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, it's basically you do it. The hashtag you do it better, right? So we believe the customer would have a better. They would know what they want, right? Instead of using YOUDO, we just changed it to YOODO.
It sounds almost like you do, like black magic.
No, it's not voodoo, but yeah. It's you do.
Okay. Excellent. Thank you. We'll come back to you shortly, Tatman. Maybe we go into Rennie. So Rennie, congratulations. I know it's a young company. You are in one of the most fiercely competitive market segments that ever exist in any industry. So how did My Burger Lab come into being? What is the entire premise? What is the value proposition of My Burger Lab?
Well, actually, it's very simple. We just wanted to serve people good burgers with a smile. And we started off just wanting to be a one-shop business and just having a few friends hang out, cook a few burgers, have some beers. But of course, as history would have shown, we kind of blew up due to our charcoal buns and the flavors that we created. And more responsibilities came. And we realized that we had to serve the people that work for us and the people and the community that wants to be served by us. So a few of my heroes, in the F&B world, around the world, one of them is Danny Myers, and he's great, for the hospitality team that he trains and the businesses that he built. And it was through him that I learned the word customer-centric. Obviously, it's a very common word now, but back in the days, for me, it was something that I didn't know was a philosophy of sorts. So because I was a foodie before I opened the restaurant, I knew the pain points of being a customer? What are the things I hated? What are the things I loved? And when we started building Burger Lab, which started as a fun project, when we took it on more seriously, we realized that, hey, look, we have a responsibility to our people, we have a responsibility to our customers. And that's where we decided, if we are not happy with it, if it's something that we ourselves would not buy or experience or use, then we would not serve it to our customers. Of course, a lot has changed since then. Are we still doing as the best that we can? Yes, but are we still at the level where we could control every single dial, every single element in the restaurant? A little bit more difficult now that we have 7 outlets, and we are, a little bit older as well. So the philosophy in F&B is all very simple. No one opens a restaurant to serve bad food, but service is always a second thought. At least 8 years ago. Nowadays, the level of service in most restaurants are compatible, though there still is a lot of experience that there is still a lot of bad experiences that can be found. But I think as we move forward, everyone knows that is serving good food is the bare minimum of what running a restaurant has to be. The next step is service. Now, service can be thought of as the act of serving. Or that little moment of the customer the waiter taking your order, serving your food, and giving your bill. Those are the touch points. But obviously, it expands beyond that. What is the customer experience, right? Because service is about customer experience. And from that train of thought, we kind of expanded that to, all right, in the digital age, people will find out about us online. The moment they find out about us, what is that nanosecond of experience that they get when they go to our Facebook page, when they go into our web page? What is the experience that they get? And that's how our train of thought kind of moved forward. So yeah, whether we are really good, I mean, when you guys nominated us as one of the better businesses that is providing a good customer experience, it never occurred to us that we were providing a customer experience. All we wanted to do was to make people happy and wanted to give them a process of ordering and enjoying their food and leaving our outlet in a efficient manner. So that was the goal. So yeah, that's how Burger Lab started and how it is today. There's still a lot of work to do because COVID forced us to digitize a lot of what we do and put in a lot of new structures in place. But they were all in, for lack of a better word, hantam kind of strategies, because in the COVID world, every month, the SOP was changing, the situation, the conditions were changing, so we adapted as where we need to. And now that we're coming out of the COVID season, slowly, we realize that a lot of things are redundant, and we're trying to filter and remove those redundancy. But yeah, that's.
How has the business responded to COVID? Has the business grown? It has remained stable? Did you pivot the business? What has happened, in this time?
So, F&B during a pandemic, from our point of view, has been quite, I wouldn't say profitable, but we have definitely seen a growth in sales. The reason is because everyone is at home, and for some reason, people see fast food products as a form of escapism. And we got so much new orders that we were absolutely swamped. However, of course, and I'm going to touch this very quickly, which is profitability is another question due to the fact that we have delivery partners who are in play in this equation. So they take about 30% of our revenue away. But that being said, burgers, fried chicken, ice cream, these are the few in pastas, nasi lemak. These are the few that we know Malaysians loved and ordered in large amounts during MCO period. However, those that were not fortunate enough to hop on board all these delivery platforms definitely lost out on the game in the early part of MCO. So in terms of diversification, we realized that a lot of people were cooking at home, and there was a trend of people serving frozen foods and whatnot. So we definitely did that as well. But that has branched out into a new part of the business where we have a whole new range of frozen products that people can buy and go home and make their own burgers. So the question is, how do we make the My Burger Lab experience a at-home experience. How do you turn one's home into a My Burger Lab? And that's where we decided, you know what? At one point, we didn't want to sell our sauces, we didn't want to sell our buns, we didn't want to sell our patties because we felt that it was something that was uniquely ours. But in the customer's eye, you know what? Your delivered burgers are great, but by the time they get to me, it is slightly soggy, it is slightly cold. If you sell me your ingredients, I'm able to make them at home and have the same quality that I will have as if I were dining in your restaurant. That creates a really unique experience that they can have by turning their home into a My Burger Lab. And that was what we realized customers wanted, and we gave it to them. And now it's a new branch of business. We are slowly putting our products in some small mini marts. We are looking at bigger supermarkets down the future. As we get our halal cert in the coming months, you can definitely find us in more supermarkets. So that was one branch out to diversification. Another one is collaboration. We have about 7 to 8 restaurants right now that serves burgers in their menu that says powered by My Burger Lab. Our aim is to hit 50 by the middle of 2021. We have a lot of collaborations in talks right now, and that's also one way that we are branching out in terms of putting our brand out there.
Excellent. So like Intel inside, My Burger Lab inside, is it?
Yes, exactly.
And what are these restaurants who are willing to consider this? Who are these partners? What kind of restaurants are open to this kind of an idea?
So we started with friends first. You know, we had Yellow Brick Road, we had Strangers at 47, who were already friends with me. And in fact, you know, like Strangers at 47, they used to work with me. So it was easy to pull that favor. But one reason why we collaborated also during that time, they weren't doing well because there was no dine-in. People weren't ordering their crepes. Their crepes are fantastic, by the way. But it wasn't the right type of food to be delivered. So we wanted to help them out by drawing a little bit of more attention to their business. And we said, let's collab and let's create 2 burgers. And it flew off the shelf. At one point, on some days, they were selling more burgers than my slowest store. Right, because people just wanted to see that collaboration and they wanted to have burgers, right, instead of crepes for some reason. And as one restaurant picks up and then another picks up, also wants to be a part of it due to FOMO, I guess. So as we found it, you know, in the last 4 months, other restaurants started joining in and saying that, hey, we want to be a part of this collaboration effort that you guys have. So it came off very naturally. In fact, a very famous chef, W, I can say it as far as that, their representative have been talking to us, and we will be collaborating with that very famous chef W. Yeah, and also hotels also have been speaking to us to introduce a range of burgers in their menu, because again, hotels are also suffering at this point in time, and because Burger Lab has such a strong brand affinity to our community, that they want, and people are responding to the collaboration so much, they want that you know, to be a part of that adventure, if I can put it that way. So it's really fun for us, and I think burgers is so integral in the Malaysian food scene. We all grew up eating ramly, Happy Meals, right? That it is, to me, if you ask me, it is the one unifying Malaysian food. Right? You have the nasi lemak, which is actually a Malay dish. You have your char kway teow, which is a Chinese dish. You have your roti canai, an Indian dish. But the burger, an American product, is actually, in my mind, a very Malaysian product, where it's not affiliated to one particular race, but every one of us can get behind it. So yeah.
And how does this business model work? You know, that, you know, they may come to you, they may pick up your you help them launch My Burger Lab or My Burger Lab inside. How do you sustain and keep them value on a period of time that they want to, you know, this collaborative effort, this business model work? How does it sustain and how does it work?
So I see it more of as a branding exercise. We don't make much money from it. We provide the ingredients to them as a raw cost, with a little bit of markup just so that we can cover our production and our transportation. But we don't have the usual markup that we have in our own restaurant. So we want our partners to make money. In some cases, like in hotels, one that we're working with soon, Rumah Hotel, a boutique hotel near KLCC, because they have a very big group of talented chefs working for them. We're giving them our recipes. Our Burger Lab secret recipes we're giving to them and say, look, just produce in-house. It is more cost efficient for you, right? And it is fresher rather than I produce it, freeze it, and send it to you. So to me, the price of a secret recipe is really nothing. I mean, at the end of the day, our recipes came from Chef Google, right? We went online, we found a recipe, we tweaked it a little bit, and it became our recipe. It is what you do with the brand. So for us, the brand value is higher than the recipe. So we share our recipes openly. In fact, we see it as a form of responsibility as well. Because if Manoj, if you have been to Burger Lab and you like our red sauce, the one that you dip the chips in, I can tell you the recipe right now. It's Kewpie mayo, 60%, and 40% sriracha, and a squeeze of lime. The recipe does not make the brand. So that's what our belief, and we share that openly. Because at the end of the day, we have people sharing back their recipes, and sometimes it's better than ours, and we apply it in our business. Because at the end of the day, when you say my Burger Lab, it is your Burger Lab too.
Wow. I'm just amazed at how open and giving you are in your entire approach. So Takman, we work for corporates. You work for a large listed company. What can you do that he has done in Udo? Can you give away things like your experience of providing great digital service? Can you make that open and available? What can we do from what he is doing in established companies or companies which are subsidiaries of listed companies?
Yeah, you're right in the sense that we are part of a big corporate, right? Part of Celcom, part of Axiata, right? But at the end of the day, they wanted to try this corporate startup, right? In the sense we term ourselves a corporate startup. So we have the pros and cons from both sides, from the corporate side, right? And also from the startup side. So we are allowed to do things a bit differently in the sense, right? Because we run independently. Our office is not in the Celcom building, right? So we are in a separate location, and we are really, like I said, my desk is a pretty small desk. We're all like on top of a short lot, right? So that vibe is a little bit there, right? Like I said, it's a balance between the two. So there is an opportunity to do that. So the brand itself, the brand values itself, the brand values that we have are being bold and being cheeky, right? So I suppose by being slightly different and allowing us to do that, we can be a bit more aggressive or daring. Maybe not, the word is not aggressive, but daring in our approach to how we market to our customers. So if you go and see our videos, our brand videos, our advertisements, I think there's a bit of difference in terms of you wouldn't really think of it as very corporate, right? It's like I said, it's ours is halfway between. There are some corporate portions, right? I'm still part of the bigger group, right? But at the same time, we can try and be a bit more. I suppose we try to. We are able to act faster. We are able to respond to what happens in the market.
Okay. So, Randy, do you have investors in your business? How do you handle investors who hear what you are saying? Hey, take away my recipe. Go my Burger Lab inside. You hardly pay us any royalty. How do they respond to such generosity?
Well, we only have one round of investors from day one. They are friends, they are family members. Other than that, we have never raised any round of capital. So I've been entrusted by my partners to do what is right for the business. And so far, my decisions have served us greatly. So they do trust in what I do. And here's the other thing: we as a food brand, we innovate all the time. So the recipes do change all the time. So like I said, it doesn't matter if we share the recipe. Recipes are cheap. It's what you do with the recipe. But other than that, sharing sessions like this where we openly talk about how we do our marketing, how we build our brand culture. One of the things that I wanted to achieve coming into the F&B world a long time ago, and it was a bit of a grand idea or grand scheme, was to elevate the F&B experience in Malaysia to the point where we are compared to the likes of Singapore, to the likes of Taiwan, to the likes of Bangkok, right? because Malaysian F&B is only known so far for our street food and it's very localized, right? But we're not known internationally. And the only way we can be recognized internationally is if we all openly, work together to put the Malaysian food scene on the map rather than working individually, which is what I experienced when I first started. So when we first started My Burger Lab, we obviously reached out to different restaurants to talk to them, to understand how the food scene is like, to get some pro tips here and there. But 9 out of 10 times we were shut down. It's like, oh, who are you? What are you trying to do? Are you trying to steal recipes from me? Are you trying to steal my staff? So people were very working in silos. But we do have a few good people who reached out to us, bless you, who reached out to us and shared their tips and whatnot. And that was when we found that we could scale up so much more, and we could avoid mistakes that they had made before. And it dawned upon us that, for us to change the industry, we have to be the point of change, right? To change the world, you have to change the man in the mirror, right? So for us, it was exactly that. We wanted to be the beacon of example, where people say, hey, look, this brand has shared so much, has been so transparent with their business, and they have seen success, right? In fact, being transparent and being able to share is a part of their success story. Maybe more people should do that. And when we do that, we see the industry grow. And that's the philosophy behind, why I'm able to do it.
So do you have, I can imagine, Tuckman, because I've been a telecom analyst, for him, subscriber numbers, growth, and CSAT, these are all important measures that are hardwired into every business plan. Like, do you prioritize revenue and revenue growth as compared to building the brand and the experience at My Burger Lab? So, like, how important is revenue growth for you? Because you talk so passionately about experience, it seems like you're ready to give up the revenue for the experience, right? Everything we heard from you so far, I'm ready to give. Let's create the experience for you. I don't care if I make as much money. Am I hearing it right? Or the revenue growth automatically happened because we focused on the experience?
All right. So you hit the nail right on the head. So when Burger Lab first started, there's 3 of us that was they involved daily in the business. So there's me, Wee Kiat, and Chang Meng. Now, the way I describe us as a trio is that one of us is the brains. Wee Kiat is the brains. He's the money guy. Every time we talk about, expansion or doing promotion and whatnot, we always argue. All right, but he's the money guy. He takes care of the business. Then there's Chang Meng, who is the hands and legs. If you need anything done, you need someone murdered, he will go and get it done. All right? I'm kidding about the murder part. All right, and then finally, what I think I feel in is the hard part. Building the culture, building the brand value, taking care of the people, taking care of the customers. So when we came together, I think it balances out. Yeah. But over the years, Wee Kiat decided that he wanted to do something else. He's still a partner in the business, but he said, you know what? I don't want to make decisions for the business. I'm going to take a break. So I started taking on that part of the business. And what I realized was I was having all this internal fight because I needed to start worrying about the money. Because prior to this, if I wanted to spend money, someone would say no, and we'll fight about the budget, right? But at the end of the day, I'm the hard guy, and that always wins out. So I'm one who believes that as long as I keep doing what I feel is right for my team and my customers, revenue will grow. Do we have a year-on-year revenue KPI, right? No. I'll be honest with you, no. My partners are not entirely happy with that. But I say, look, guys, this is a 10-year, 20-year game plan. When we built the foundations right, look, the greatest brands that you hear on earth, McDonald's, Coca-Cola, even Shake Shack, the new king of burgers, right, did not achieve the international success that they have today, within 5 years or 10 years. In fact, Shake Shack took 10 years before they opened their second outlet. But if you do things right, I believe that the revenue will come along. And that has proven its case year after year. Is it 100% increase? No. But slowly but surely, as we open more and more stores, we create more and more brand value. People seek us out. In fact, we see too many restaurant brands. Once they open up too quickly and they dilute the market share, they start closing down, right? And I'm trying to avoid that mistake. And I want to build the first Malaysian brand that is all about heart. It's all about doing the right thing. It's all about grooming the younger generation within our company to rise up. Sorry, did I say I want to be the first? That's a bit presumptuous of me, but we definitely want to be known as one of those brands who do that. Yeah.
Excellent. Thank you.
Yeah.
Incredible. Great story. So Tagman, how do you measure your CX success? And how is it different from a measure of success that maybe Celcom would be doing?
Yeah, so before I talk about the CX part, right? Yeah, definitely on our side, revenue growth and subscriber growth must be there, right? So that's it's part and parcel of it. I mean, we are, like I said, part of a corporate, so we will have that, right? Good CX will definitely have that, right? But if you're talking about how we measure customer experience, well, there are a few views, right? Two parts actually to it, right? One is, of course, from an external standpoint. So from the external standpoint is the voice of customer matrix, right? So from NPS, I think NPS is the famous one. So we do use NPS, customer satisfaction, which is more for transactional kind of measurements for our customer care team. And we also, since we are an online brand, we are a digital brand, we have a matrix called social reputation score. Right? I think some others do call it digital reputation score. There are a few names to it, right? But it's something similar to NPS, but basically measuring your online performance, right? The positive sentiments deduct minus the negative sentiments based on your brand mentions. So these are the external ones that we measure, right? Internally, these are the operational matrix will be the ones that are very common, which is like how long it takes to resolve a case, how long it takes to deliver our SIM cards, because that's very important. Very important is really at the top of the funnel, right? How fast you deliver our SIM cards, so it's getting much better now. We have very few complaints on deliveries, right? So those are our internal matrix. So these are the ways that we track.
So you look at the entire customer journey and saying, how do I deliver it fastest, deliver it digitally, deliver it frictionless? Yeah.
Yes.
And Rennie, how do you measure your customer experience? How do you know that you are constantly at the cutting edge? Is it like every smiley face at the end of every burger, or how do you do that?
Okay, so the way we do it is we have an app that when people purchase and they collect points, an automatic form is filled out, an automatic form is sent to them, and they will fill it up. And once they fill it up, their reviews, their photos, whatever else not, will be sent to us. And from there, we would, address individual cases should we need to, whether it's a bad product, whether it's a missing product, and whatever now. So if it's a good review, right, we just leave it be. Is there a way to measure? Honestly, no. I mean, I have to admit, I'm not a corporate guy, and I don't know how all these scores and whatnot work. My team do have it, but at the end of the day, the way I work with my team is, look, I get a sense of how many people are complaining, because I do look through every of those feedback. So it's still very manual. It's going through TripAdvisors, it's going through Facebook reviews, it's searching our hashtag just to see what the general sense is. Because at the end of the day, customers are very emotional, and if they choose to write, it's either of each extreme, whether they're very happy or they're very angry. And the job is to fix every single angry customer there is, and the goal is to convert them into a happy customer. So the first thing that we do, and this is something that is a bit counterintuitive, and I do get some feedbacks from friends that it might not be the best strategy. The first thing that we always do is always refund the product if there is a complaint. But we don't offer it in a way to get rid of the customer. It's not, hey, I'm sorry this happened, here's your refund, thanks. No, it's a, hey, let's see what the problem is. Tell you what, I would like to make this right for you. We don't believe in taking money from people who did not have a good experience, and we give them a refund. And then after that, we invite them to come back. Some strategies is, if you're going to give a refund, why not just give a voucher? Because you're still keeping them within the loop. You're still using your credit. but I feel that that's not sincere. I feel that as a customer, if I go to a restaurant, I didn't have a good time, I have a complaint, right? Give me my money back. Let me decide where I want to spend it next. But what you say after you give me the refund is what makes the difference. And that's where my team is trained on how to read the emotional response from our customers and react.
So is the team empowered to do it?
Yes.
Can the team, any member of the team, decide to make a refund?
Yes.
No questions asked.
No question asked. But again, the follow-up is how can I convince you to come back again? And I would like to invite you to come back again. Right. And
how do you incentivize the team member? How do we make sure that it doesn't go out of control? Are you worried about people not? Yeah?
So it doesn't go out of control because on the store level, they make as little mistakes as possible. There's always a percentage. Out of 100 burgers sent out, there's going to be one mistake. We're not perfect. We're not robots, right? So we do keep an eye on how many complaints come in. Versus what's the sale of the week like. So there is a benchmark, and usually it's in that 1-2%. Anything that goes higher, and we are able to address which store has a higher issue, then it goes to control quality. It becomes a control QA QC issue, and that's where we will fix the issue. A lot of times I find that restaurants or even GrabFood itself, they fix problems by just throwing money, right? If you put a complaint on GrabFood, sorry about this, here's your money back, and there is no follow-up. So the team is made known that we want every customer to leave with a smile on their face, and it's not physically leaving the store, but they leave the experience feeling that they were. So apart from that, I think that customers who are invested in the brand. Okay, so it's a long-term investment. Over the years, the way we behave, the way we openly talk about our fuck-ups, right, on our social media website, is built this community that trusts in us to be able to give feedback. Because too many times brand brush away feedback because there's either too many feedback that comes in and they can't handle it. For example, McDonald's, if you write into them and you complain about something, most likely it will not be attended to. Right. While we're still small, we want to maintain that, and we want to maintain the fact that if you write to us, every single reply, every single issues will be addressed, and it is a long-term investment to build the customer's trust and habit.
Excellent, great. We are getting lots of questions, so I'll do rapid fire. Yeah. So I think Rennie, this is one for you, and I think there are a few similar threads in this question, which is you are empowering people. It does seem a little unstructured. How do you bring structure to this? How do you, maybe that is what Munira asked. And I think that question is also asked earlier is, how do you ensure the consistent experience? Because there is so much of flexibility you're working on, so much of intuition you're working on. How do you make sure it is consistent across all the stores, right? So is it unstructured? Is it, and maybe a quick response, Rennie, so we can take some more questions. And I'll come to you, Rakman, for this one as well.
All right. So there is no structure because when it comes to the brand, we are all about it being your brand. My Burger Lab is yours. So when the team makes decision, it is based on a very loose set of rules. Now, one of the books that I read recently that I really like, and I kind of remove my filter because I want to show you this, is the No Rules Rules, about the Netflix culture, right? And it worked really well for us over the years. I was practicing it, a partial bit of it without really knowing I was practicing it. So the idea here is very simple, right? At the end of the day, empower your team. Let them know what your belief is, what your culture and your brand value is. And we have 10 brand values, and everyone is required to memorize them. And we will test them occasionally. If you do not adhere to our brand value, you shouldn't be working in Burger Lab. So when they have that, they understand the brand value, they understand the brand culture. Everything else is built around there. So
you hire? How you have a specific way to hire people?
Well, we do. We are looking for people who are keen to learn and keen to adapt to a new environment. And those are the two key values that we are looking for.
How bad is the attrition? Because F&B is known for really bad attrition, right?
Well, here's the thing. We openly share who we are. And I believe that when you do that, when you hire people, you hire a reflection of yourself. And so far, I dare say 8 out of 10 of our applicants do reflect the same values, because we openly talk about our values. We openly show who we are. And by that, you attract the same people.
Excellent. So, Takman, how do you are a digital company, digital first company, and this is Munira is asking, how do you bring about that human experience? How do you humanize it, right? On one end, Rennie is all about human experience, and he's empowering his team to do everything, right? But you are a digital company. How do you do it?
Well, we do put importance in terms of interaction and engagement with our customers, right? So Munira's question is very good in the sense that yes, everything's on the app, but if you go through our website, you go through our pages and so on, you will realize that we have a lot of interactions that we do. Of course, now slightly hampered by COVID, right? With our customers. And these are based on our lifestyle segment strategy. I think I mentioned it earlier. We get involved in things around esports, around active sports, around K-pop, and around music and entertainment. So, for example, in esports, right? Before COVID, right? We will, whenever we have tournaments, we will be on the ground. That's where we engage, right? We have our own esports teams, right? So we partner with esports team companies, right? We have popular teams that are very strong in PUBG Mobile, in Mobile Legends. These are games that the younger generation likes and wants to get engaged in. And we are able to provide that kind of, that reach, that interaction. So we will organize meets with these teams and so on. So even concerts, right? We have this series called Yudu Presents, which is supporting the local independent musicians, right? So and there was one a year ago or plus ago, we had this series called Yudu Presents where we had online concerts where it's a win-win, right? In the sense, the independent musicians get eyeballs from our customers get content, and of course we connect everyone together and engage in this, right? So every week, every Wednesday or something like that, we had six. I think we had a series of 6 concerts online, right, for a week. Then at the end of the 6 weeks, a few weeks later, we decided to have an online concert, an on-ground concert, a physical concert, bringing everyone together. And then we were giving this out as an opportunity for our customer base to just attend a concert, right? Of course, that was before COVID, right? But even in COVID, we recently had we call it a digital community day, right? It was fantastic. We had 300 people, 300 plus people on Zoom with us, staying with us for more than 2 hours, right? We had an online concert. I mean, there was a band playing. There were games being played through Zoom. There were prizes being given out. So I think we're doing pretty well in terms of engaging our customers. So that's how we, if you want to use the term, how we humanize that part of the customer experience.
And Rennie, I think there's a question from Nazri Othman. He says, how are you so confident in giving away the recipe? I think you briefly answered it earlier. You said, hey, I'm keeping on innovating new recipes. So it's not just this one, but maybe just a little bit more reflection on it.
Yeah, actually, I was about to type a reply to Nazri and Brian, who had the same question. So in terms of sharing recipes, I think I'm okay to do that because I've gained so much more when I share recipes with fellow restaurants, fellow chefs, who, when I want to steal, quote unquote, steal their recipes, they were more than happy to give me. And in that case, I have access to so much more new ideas and new ingredients in a faster pace than I ever had before when I was doing it alone and using Google. Could we hire an in-house chef? Sure. But then the in-house chef is still working within a certain boundary of what I set. When it comes to food, I always feel that it's all about creativity. It's all about making flavors that surprises people. I think that's what makes my particular genre of food exciting. Of course, with nasi lemak, you want to stick to nasi lemak. You don't want a truffle nasi lemak, right? But with burgers, you can have your cheeseburger to something that's really crazy like a rendang burger, and it can be exciting that way. So for us, we have benefited so much when we share. And because when we first started, like I said, We benefited from others who shared with us. My first burger recipe, patty recipe, was actually from Red Bean Bag. The chef shared with me his secret recipe, and he said, look, this recipe is difficult to make, it's hard to scale up, but if you can scale up, it will make you a lot of money. And he gave it to me for free. And that's why I feel that, if someone is so generous with their knowledge and has benefited me, I should do the same. It's about paying it forward. Now, in terms of replying to Brian's question, how do we ensure consistency in My Burger Lab's product? So here's the thing. When it comes to cooking, consistency will be the hardest thing to do. All we can try to do is always... So if I set a benchmark at 100%, this is what the burger is supposed to taste like. On the store level, they're usually hitting about 90%. Just due to the fact that every day is a different team working. Your lettuces won't always be the same. Your tomatoes won't always be the same, right? Certain things you can control. Now, the question is how close can you get to that level of perfection that we set up? Now, we do acknowledge that our team are human and that there will be mistakes. Sometimes your favorite burger will be missing pickles. Sometimes your favorite burger will be missing cheese. We even have incidents where the burger is missing a patty. How does that even happen, right? But the question is, how do you have your customer service in place to fix those problems? The business has to acknowledge the fact that it is run by humans, that we will all try our best. But at the same time, when we fail, we have our teammates who will back us up to fix the issues. And when you have that ecosystem in place, I think that, I don't worry about inconsistency because I know the team tries their hardest. And when they fail, someone else is going to try their hardest to win the customer back. So when we drill this into the team, no one is pressured to perform at 100% all the time because that's just impossible. Yeah.
Excellent. Thank you. Thank you for that. So maybe let's go back a question and say, what would you define success? Maybe, and we can start with Takman. What do you define as success for you to, let's say, in the future? What would be success? What would, let's say, 3, 4, 5 years?
Financial numbers is one, right? That's always there, right? The revenue and subscriber base. But again, right, we look at why Udo was set up, right? First thing was really to try and be that digital brand for the digital natives, right? So if we, in our digital native segment, right, the Gen Y, the Gen Z, we are really the number one, right, the name in the telco space, right, or the top 3 maybe in name in the telco space for that segment, I suppose you can say that that's one success, right? The other thing that is that, again, we are setting out to differentiate ourselves, right? Again, based on the lifestyle segment strategy, right? Esports, K-pop, music entertainment, active sports. Now, how have we been doing on that, right? We've done pretty well on esports, right? So I think that's already a bit of success there. But of course, the other part is that even though we've done well on that, does it turn into activations, right? There's a difference between awareness and activations. So at this point of time, we are building awareness at the same time trying to get activations. So if you say a few years down the line, right, then hopefully when you talk about digital telco, Udo is the first name that comes up. You talk about in terms of the segment that we're targeting, again, Udo is the first name that comes up. So I suppose that will be success.
Excellent. Yeah. Before I ask Rennie this question, maybe I want to ask the audience, what is your biggest takeaway so far? What is let's say, if you were to describe in 3 to 5 words, what is the biggest takeaway so far from this entire session that from a customer experience standpoint, you would like to go and implement in your respective businesses or in your respective homes or communities or societies or in your personal way of conducting and driving leadership? I would love to see. So we have 35 plus people online. I want everyone to say, what is your biggest single takeaway? And give it, okay, great. So Rachana says, give it forward. I like that. Okay. So Rennie, what does success look like for My Burger Lab? What would, a few years from today or a decade from today, or maybe you're looking at 100 years from today?
I don't know. I've always determined success as the pursuit. It's a constant chase. It's the pursuit of happiness because we have to enjoy what we do. I don't believe in a work-life balance. I believe that work and life is a part of one another. Some calls me a workaholic, but I think it's just a different viewpoint. And I think that, the success is when you are happy. And for you to be happy, one has to try to achieve ikigai. I'm not sure if everyone here has heard of the concept ikigai. So where you are good at what you do, you love what you do, you're paid for what you do, and the world needs what you do. When you have this four, I think, it doesn't matter what industry you're in, you can be happy. It's not the money, right? To me, it's never been about the money. The money has always been enough for me. And I think that's what makes my relationship with my work works.
And have both of you gone to Heidi Lau? What do you think about the Heidi Lau experience?
Amazing.
Nice.
Amazing.
Yeah.
What do you like the most? Yeah. We start with Takman. Yeah. What do
let's
you
start
like
with a consumer point of view.
Yeah.
No, it's the service, right? The service and the attention to giving you an experience in that place, right? So that's I don't know. I find that the service and the experience is basically you're going there not just for the food, right? You're going there also to have an experience, right? So.
Good. Rennie?
So I think what they do really well is the idea of under promise and over deliver, which is a motto that we have at My Burger Lab. Are we as good at Hai Di Lao? Of course not. So when you go in there, honestly, what is it? It's a steamboat place at best, right? Are they the best steamboat restaurant? I don't think so. I've had better, right? But they are good, right? But no matter what you've heard about Hai Di Lao, you go in and you still be blown away. And that's what's so good about them. The fact that even when you have such high expectation, you're still blown away. Now, I think the team is highly empowered to do what they can to deliver the maximum amount of happiness to their customer. We have had, so my friends, they're pranksters, right? We went to Hai Di Lao and we decided that one of us have a birthday. And they'll come and they'll bring, the whole neon lights and the fruits basket and whatnot. Then we'll say, after 5 minutes, we'll say, oh, we forgot this other guy has a birthday as well. Can you do the same for him? And without question, they will do it. So it's all about going all out and they have fun doing it. And I think this level of genuine sincerity is not taught. It's a permission given to have fun. And I think, that is something that Hai Di Lao does so wonderfully.
So maybe for both of you, which company exemplifies the best customer experience and is a great role model? Maybe globally and also locally, other than your own respective companies. Tough question, is it?
Get started. I mean, I'm just going to say one that is, I suppose, quite common, right? Really, it's about Apple, right? Apple. It's really everything that they do, right? Every part of their products, their service, right? Their retail outlets, it's all customer centric, right? Or really seamless, right? In the sense, the product itself is fantastic, right? And they've ironed out the kinks, they iron out all the issues, right? They make it seamless and so on. Then when you go and you want to go and buy the iPad, the iPhone, or whatever, you go to their retail outlet. The experience is different, right? It's a different experience, right? They even do things like special shops, right? In different countries where it becomes an icon of that city, right? So I think that's wonderful because they bring that wow kind of factor to it, right? I think experience is also about expectations, right? It's not just about meeting the customer expectations. Sometimes you have to exceed the customer expectations, and that's how you bring the wow factor and that so-called experience factor. And I think they bring that.
Correct. Excellent.
For me, I think that as you scale up your business, it's very difficult to give that personalization. And I think what makes service great is personalization. And I think for everyone listening in, we all have the experience where we go into that one. If you're talking about a restaurant experience, we all have our favorite mom and pop shop that you go. The uncle auntie recognizes you and knows that every time you want that extra fishball or you want the extra ikan bilis, and they'll do it for you without asking it. And the mama that when you go to, he knows you want your teo ais limau extra sweet or less sweet, right? These are the best experiences that can only be delivered in a small micro scale. So again, whatever business you run on a large scale, empower your stores, your individual store managers, your individual team to behave as such, to find out who their regulars are and give them that unique, personalized service. And if I can give a shout out to some of the restaurants that you guys should give it a try. One is Table and Apron at Damansara Kim. They have a little black book of their own favorite customers. Not favorite customers, but regular customers, where if a customer today, they will have chit chat with them, and let's say the customer says, "Oh, I'm going to Melbourne next week. I'll be back about 2 months' time, so you won't see me." They'll write it down, and when the customer is back 2 months later, they're like, "Hey, how's your trip to Melbourne?" Right? These are the little touches, and it's not because it's communicated to one waiter, but the way they write it down, like a storybook. Hey, our favorite customer, Mr. Manoj, is going to Melbourne. Right? Take note, guys, and he'll be back in July. And the whole team knows, right? So when they read the book, it's like a storybook. And that's where that personalized service comes at. Because the next time Mr. Manoj comes back to Table and Apron, right? Another person that he didn't tell he went to Melbourne reads in and say, "Hey, how was your trip?" And is it intrusive? Maybe slightly, but you already love the brand, right? And that's where I think the magic of great customer service happens. It's that personalization. It makes you feel special. So I think customer service is not a one-size-fit-all solution. It's a one-size-fit-one solution.
N equal to 1. Excellent. Thank you. Thank you very much, Rene. Thank you very much, Takman. I know, as I asked the audience to describe in a few words, Rachana said, give it forward. In her takeaway. Munira says, minimize customer efforts and empowering people to deliver great CX. Stay true to your values. Brian says community-based, and that's what I think Udo was trying to do, building the communities around these digital natives. Customer centricity leadership. You have, My Burger Lab is as good as Heidi Lab. Brian, are you working with Dell? You say Dell is amazing customer experience. Okay, it's okay, but yeah. So
but that's
for me, the big.
Sorry, Manoj, but that's the thing. To you, Dell, you didn't have a good experience, but maybe Brian had that personalized experience with that one particular customer service guy that gave him that out-of-this-world service. And that's where it's important. It's down to the guys on the ground.
I want to add on to what Renee is saying. Personalization is something very, very important right nowadays. I definitely like what he's saying. Right? If I've been to 1 or 2 hotels. Like I said, COVID again has prevented that nowadays. But when you go to some of these hotels, right, the good ones, right, they remember what your stay was about previously, right, and they know what is next. They address you by your name. They sort of like they say, maybe it may sound scary that they know a bit more about you nowadays, right? But we live in that world anyway, right? So might as well accept that. But it's all about personalization. Right? It's about the ability to, I suppose, customize it for that customer.
Excellent. Great. Thank you. I want to summarize my takeaway as open source customer service, because I think if we can, that's what in many ways, open source kitchen, open source leadership, share all and then allow everybody to participate in the delivery of the experience. Because the more people participate in the delivery of that experience, the better it will get, rather than us trying to do it individually or through a system or through a platform. Right? So I think we had a great chat. Thanks both Renee and Takman for sharing such wonderful, incredible insights. I think today we discussed more about strategy and how to go about doing it. Maybe the next session, and I would love to have both of them back, is to really discuss how do you go about implementing it on the ground. It's all good to talk this, but man, how do you hire the people? How do you train them? How do you keep them inspired and motivated to keep delivering these extraordinary experiences? So we'll come back for that session. And if there are others who can contribute, please let us know. We hope we have started a journey on to discover what it is to deliver great Malaysian experiences in Malaysia. So thank you everybody for joining. Rennie, again, thank you so much, Takman, for joining and sharing your incredible insights.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks, Manoj, for having us. And you, Rennie, catch up with you.
Take care, everyone.
Okay.
Stay safe, yeah? COVID is not over yet.
Okay, thank you.
Bye.
Bye.